snapshot of how it differs in each sort of like Baltic state? Like what are you focusing on? Like what is the difference between Estonia? Like what are you focusing on? How are you particularly expanding that?
Okay. Trying to think what some good examples. There are similarities and differences. In Estonia, we put a particular focus on information and communications technology because there are some really clever things going on in Estonia. I think the scope for partnerships and for British companies to work with Estonian counterparts on developing new technology and selling new technology. So that's one important area. I would say that a growing area, which I suspect is going to be the same for all three of us, is in areas such as energy efficiency and the development of new ways of generating energy. This is something where certainly Estonia is at a relatively early stage in its development, and we think there are big opportunities that we can look at, which will be of interest to British business. So that's a couple of areas.
Yeah, speaking Lithuanian, I don't think, to be honest, you're going to find any sector where you can say that exclusively in this one Baltic state you're going to find this sector and nowhere else. And there's certainly a commonality. At our meeting this morning, we've been hearing some case studies from British companies. We've heard from one company involved in road construction materials that started out in Latvia and has expanded into Lithuania. Rent-A-Kill recently launched a new investment in Lithuania. They had started out in Estonia. But I would say in Lithuania, some of the promising areas that we see are infrastructure on the back of EU structural funds. That, again, is true of the Baltic states, but the new government in Lithuania has said that it wants to speed up absorption rates of EU structural funds because they have not been able to spend the amount that they're entitled to spend in the past because of capacity problems. And they want now to address those capacity problems in a systematic way and to be able to spend more and to be able to spend a high proportion of those funds on basic infrastructure to keep the construction industry afloat, and B, on, yes, as Peter was mentioning, energy efficiency. These Soviet-era apartment blocks, the Hrushkovkas, modernising the district heating systems. They want to greatly speed up the rate of modernisation of those blocks. So that is one area I could mention for Lithuania. Environmental technologies we see as a very promising area. ICT we see as a promising area too. The successive Lithuanian governments have had an emphasis on creating a knowledge-based economy, and I think that's an area where the UK has plenty of companies that can get involved in that.
Yeah, and a pretty sort of symmetrical story here in Latvia. I mean, and I think the use of EU structural fund money is very important. Most of the resident British community here, or sorry, not most, but a lot of it is involved in environmental issues, waste management, and about 20% access finance from EU funds. And also vocational training, human resource management issues, recruitment policy is a very strong area for British companies. I mean, very small, I mean, really consultancies working with Latvian companies. It's a very important area for Latvia and very good business for the UK.